I wanna start by just letting people know that the war on drugs brought us more drugs, and the war on terror has created more terrorists.
Yeah.
And thankfully, our president, Donald Trump, is not a fan of renewable energy. So he launched a war on renewable energy, which means that coal plants are shutting down as we get more renewable energy on the grid. So thanks for that, President Trump. So 2019 was the second fastest rate of U.S. coal power plants shutting down. 15.1 gigawatts of coal-fired energy generation capacity was retired in 2019 alone, which was the 5th consecutive year of lower fuel consumption, which remains at its lowest since 1975. So we are sort of rounding that bend. We're seeing, here I'm in a Green Car Reports article that the projections are that in 2020, new capacity is going to come from 44% wind, 32% solar, and 22% natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
And projected to be 5.77 gigawatts.
And then you've got Matthew killing the natural gas too.
Any new coal plants on the horizon?
Exactly.
Not in the United States, yeah.
Right, it's time for the 1900s technology to become part of history.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. And so, yeah, I mean, Russell's right. I mean, this is exactly like what Matthew was talking about. We're finding new ways to green our energy. And Patrick has said this time and time again. That's not going to stop me for taking credit for saying that an electric vehicle, a battery-powered vehicle, will get greener as the grid gets greener. An internal combustion engine will only ever stay dirty. So we all want the grid to get as green and renewable as possible because our cars inherently will become more green and more sustainable.
Right.
Yeah, you could even argue that gas-powered cars are only going to get worse because as we move to as the light sweet crude, easily accessible stuff is gone, you have to go deeper, you have to go farther offshore, you're more likely to have spills, there's more sulfur content, the processing time goes up, and all of that costs energy. So yeah, the ICE cars get browner and the electric cars get greener.
Well, plus they do.
And not to mention, as the ICE cars get older, their engines, emission systems don't work as well. Their piston rings get loose and they blow out crap out of the tailpipe. So
that's where I was going.
Yeah, it's not just the fuel source is dirtier, the cars themselves are dirtier.
Yep.
Now, not to rain on this parade at all. It is very true that the light sweet crude is the stuff that's being depleted the fastest. The case of like shale gas and oil from shale formations in the States, which has had this massive resurgence in the sector, is a case where, as with battery costs, the cost of doing that went from like uneconomic 12, 15 years ago to the standard way that companies are trying to make a living with it now. So we don't want to get overconfident and assume like the fossil sector is never going to improve, because they will. As one case in our Alberta bitumen area, the tar sands, oil sands, whatever your preferred label, one of the companies, CNRL, one of the biggest producers, said that 10 years ago, their best cost per barrel for processing, so after they've done construction, but just processing it, taking this bitumen, which is kind of this tar substance, out of the earth, processing it into sellable light sweet crude, was $45 a barrel. And now they say it's about $18 a barrel, which is like a 60% drop, which is actually about on par with what wind has done. Now, solar and batteries are way better. They've done like 85, 90% in this time frame. But there's my message is that we don't want to get complacent and think, the only smart people are on our side, because there is still value for regulations to say that, we need to make sure this stuff is cut out of the system as soon as we can reasonably manage, because there are a lot of smart people in every sector, and we don't want to get blindsided by, suddenly oil. Like I think BNP Paribas had said that oil will have to be at $20 a barrel to compete with electric vehicles in the future at some uncertain date. But if we give them enough time, I'm sure they'll get there with engineers. So our best bet is still to have regulations and ZEV mandates and other things to direct that innovation in the desirable direction.
Yeah.
Right. And as you mentioned, carbon tax.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Yeah. They're driven by economic forces, and that they're going to do all they can to maximize those profits. You're right.
That's right.
And if the carbon is free, they're going to make us pay the cost.
That's right.
Yes.
And carbon is not free, as we're learning now.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what do they care if they don't have to pay it?
I mean that coal is free to stay in the ground now that Donald Trump's solutions have been so effective, and we're happy for it to stay free there underground.